Looks like Francis was put in timeout in the sad blue corner.
Yeah, it's the emotionally sad. It's the emotionally stable chair. You go there when things get too exciting. Calms you down.
All right, it's a couple minutes after the hour. Posted the agenda. Please mark your attendance. If you have any items you would like to add as an open, please do so. Just eyeballing the list. Do we have any new friends that wanted to say hello? I think so. All right. Is there anyone interested in helping take notes today? Scribe is a very important role. Jonathan is not hanging out outside in front of a coffee shop.
I'm getting dinner. I'm in Italy currently.
Oh, very nice.
I was just after that.
Anyone able or interested to help us take some notes today?
I can do it.
Thank you, Madison. I really appreciate that. It's very helpful to our call.
Happy to. I know I've been gone the last couple of weeks, so
It's not penance. Don't worry.
I'm happy to help.
Thank you. All right. Please add opens down below. We're going to do a readout of the activities of the OSS Cert SIG. And hopefully we'll have a very special guest star to talk about a question they have about upstream CVE remediation timelines. I have some decisions I would like to talk about with the group before I make them issues and have everybody vote. And then we have some project ideas. So not having any opens. And let me talk about the activities of the OSS Cert SIG. So as you recall, we had this group had adopted the OSS CERT, which is a Security Incident Response Team, as a SIG for us. So a small group of us have split off and are working on refining the mobilization plan. And we have 3 different sections here. We are kind of analyzing the problem space. We're talking with upstream security teams and maintainers and different constituents to kind of understand the developer maintainer project perspective on what they might find useful out of a security team and what they also don't want out of a security team. We have a group focused on identifying the core services of this group. And then we have a group focused on the execution of, once we have those services, kind of executing on that plan, hiring support individuals or helping implement infrastructure to make the team, infrastructure and tooling to help make the team successful. Overall, the plan revision is going very well. We think that we will be able to repropose the plan back to the governing board and TAC for funding approval, potentially as early as like the second week of November. So that's about a month ahead of original plan, but things are going well. And you can take a peek at the meeting notes there if anyone is curious for specifics. Any questions about the OSS Cert SIG activities? Okie doke. Patches, contributions, and suggestions are always welcome. Let's see, Arun is not here yet, which is cool. So let us move on to 2 topics that I'm going to make as issues for the group. And I'll send a note out to the mailing list later today so we can start to get a vote on. So I'm curious, first off, the number 1, is this group happy with our twice monthly meeting cadence? Do we want to move that to monthly? Do we want to keep it bi-weekly, or do we want to go weekly, daily? Is anyone interested in changing how frequently we meet. Any comments about that here? Francis.
I would suggest that unless we have projects to work on, monthly should be fine, because all we do here is just updates and presentation at this point. So if we do have projects for the group, bi-weekly sounds good. Otherwise, monthly is my vote.
Okay. Any other thoughts on the matter? You'll get the chance to express yourself once we get it up into an issue, but just some initial table setting for those folks that are here. All right. And then number 2, I wanted to provide the group the option, if you are unhappy or desire changes in how this call is run, we definitely can have a change in how the meeting is run, change in the leader if you desire. So that is also an option if the group wants it. I just want to provide people that opportunity if somebody has a strong desire and a vision for how this group should be run. I want to allow those folks to be able to. No, but it's not Krobe's group. I'm just here to facilitate. But if somebody else has a hankering to lead, I don't want to stand and impede that person. Yes.
I'm surprised that when you said this isn't Krobe's group, I'm like, what?
I'm just here for everybody. I'm your facilitator.
I think it's less about somebody. It's more about like somebody wants the responsibility. It's too much work, too much pressure.
It is a little bit of work, not a lot, but it's a labor of love. But if somebody else is interested, that'll be an opportunity for someone to express themselves. Or if you hate how I run things, that's awesome. I would love to get that feedback and how we can make it better for everybody. All right. Any further comments or questions about that? All right. Moving along, we have 3 potential projects to work on. PR 115, 113, and 116. So potentially future projects for this group to work on together. The first idea was PR 115, which is, we've done a couple CVD guides already, and there was potential interest around making one focused on open source consumers, explaining how open source coordinates vulnerabilities, places people could go, or resources they could leverage, consumers could leverage to get advisories or just kind of better understand the process. So there was a little bit of interest here in the group. And then I have the opportunity to work with the end users working group too. And they were very excited about it and would like to collaborate with us. Yum. So any initial thoughts on pursuing this as potential work item for us to collaborate on together? Francis.
I feel like I'm the only one complaining. I'm not a big fan of more guides, because I feel like these are just words that we write once and nobody reads. But if it's how we can have impact as a working group, go for it. I would like us to have something else if possible.
And there's nothing to say we can't work on multiple things, but this was just an idea that's out there. Was there another question or comment?
Yeah. What other content were you thinking about? Like video content or like tweets, or I don't know, what were you thinking about other content?
That is something we don't have that currently documented here, but that if we wanted to expand, to get better usage of what we have, we definitely could do tweets through social media. We could arrange conference talks. We have a whole education SIG that will be looking to generate content. So we have the opportunity to potentially donate podcast, webinar, blog type material. So we have a lot of options, but we could augment what we have today. Is that kind of the theme of what you're looking for, Jonathan?
Yeah, maybe. Madison, we could, Eddie is a GitHub star. We could leverage him. He does a lot of YouTube content. And like he could do like an introduction to vulnerability disclosure sort of thing if we wanted to leverage the stars.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I've had some people from the CVE program reach out to me about a podcast related to the guide that we just released also, because I might have voluntarily told them I would do that a couple months ago when I had more free time. So I've also been looking for like other avenues, even outside of OpenSSF, to share the same sorts of things. I've also been working with the Erlang Foundation, and their security working group doesn't currently have any vulnerability disclosure guidance or reporting in the slightest. So I actually referred them to our maintainer guide, and they're considering making that their official statement for the whole ecosystem. So that's pretty neat. So we'll see where that goes. I'm still working with them. But so I've just personally been looking for avenues, even outside of OpenSSF, to keep reiterating the same message.
Excellent. Yogesh, you have a question or statement?
Yeah, sorry, I've been, I could not join these meetings because it's a little late for me in India. I saw the agenda. There are some project ideas, so I thought I should join the call. So the PR 115, as I understand, we got the CVD guide for the reporters. We are going to the next level to have some guidance for the consumer, the customers, the enterprises, or the open source consumers per se, right? That is the expectation out of this project idea. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
And consumer could be other open source projects, potentially ingesting things as dependencies. Could be enterprises, end developers. There's a lot of different consumers.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The good question that I have is just thinking about I'm just, my brain is continuing to spiral on the idea of content, sort of like, and like working with Eddie or some other YouTube content creator. Is there a budget for like collaborating with somebody who does content to like sponsor their work, sponsor a video or something like that from the OpenSSF? Like, is that something that we would be able to leverage money from the OpenSSF for?
We have two options to get funding if that is needed. First off would be kind of submitting a funding request through this working group, saying we have this idea for a project and we need X amount of funds to achieve that goal. Secondly, there's again the whole education SIG that will be focused in on providing more classes, webinars, boot camps, working with underserved communities, getting them access to security content. And I can tell you they already have they will be coming to this group at some point. The CERT SIG will be coming to that group to help make content for CVD training. And then this group will probably be asked to help coordinate, help collaborate on that. And the whole education SIG has funding allocated for generically podcasts and webinars. So that's another route we could go that has a little bit longer of a tail because again, there's no funding allocated yet. And that should happen ideally November.
Also, I want to make you really jealous. This carbonara is delicious.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Jonathan? We're having a hard time. You're breaking up a lot.
The carbonara is delicious.
Oh, but that's good to know. Thank you.
Just to make you jealous.
I am hungry. All right. The next idea we have, the proposal, is PR 113, some type of guide for maintainers on handling incidents. So we have the generic guide that speaks to generally steps you should take before an incident occurs, having like a policy set up and having an email contact list. but we don't have any prescriptive instructions on when you're in the middle of the fire, how you can put yourself out, for example. So that's another suggested work effort we could work on. Yogesh.
So recently we made an incident response plan public. So in Red Hat, we have incident response plan, which we have been operating with for years. It does have how to deal with critical incidents. It does have playbooks. So what I'll do is I'll put a link to that public source in this document under PR113. So that it's it's shared with everybody. Maybe that could be a good starting point for us. It has lots of contents, and that is how Red Hat operates whenever we get a vulnerability reported till the release.
Any additional thoughts or comments on Yogesh's proposal to review the Red Hat guide, or just the idea of kind of more specific instructions to help projects and maintainers?
Can I just do a little bit of a bigger description of what hair on fire looks like? Because I can imagine hair on fire looks like a lot of different things depending upon the incident that has arisen. And so I just want a little bit of a more deeper understanding of what scenarios are described for here's how to deal with X scenario. What are the scenarios?
Pulling up the PR, there is not anything listed. So it's a blank slate. So we could describe any scenarios the group is interested in contributing towards.
I would love to see the guide just to see it. I mean, any existing content is great. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I agree. I, again, was talking to the Erlang Foundation Security Working Group this morning, and they asked me also essentially for this, if there was any public resources that I could point them toward. Yeah, and I'd love to have something vendor agnostic to point them towards, as like, I love Red Hat and everything they do, but I'm always just generally more comfortable looking like I'm not advocating for a specific vendor, So I would love something like that.
Yeah, so just to clarify, it doesn't have Red Hat. So it's an open source. We did not reference to Red Hat's way of working, Red Hat's, the organization. It's a sanitized version of Red Hat's incident response plan. So to be consumed by open source community, obviously.
And potentially this is definitely something the open source cert SIG is going to need. We're going to need playbooks as we assemble that group of Avengers to help solve problems. So that might even be something that becomes a work output of that group, or something we not everyone here participates in that SIG, but something maybe we jointly officially work on to help develop some of these playbooks, and that ultimately becomes a larger resource that we could share out. This is how the cert might operate, but also how good practices we've learned that people can adopt. Randall.
I think that it would also be good for stream 1 in our cert SIG, where we're gathering like information from stuff like that.
Well, Yogesh just gave you an exciting link as a reference for stream 1.
Yeah, I know. I got it.
All right, any further comments on PR 113?
Just a quick question. Am I missing the link in the chat? Did you post the link, Yogesh? No, not yet. Okay. Sorry.
I've copied the link in the agenda doc.
Okay, thanks.
The meeting notes, yeah. Cheers.
And then the last item today we have documented as a formal potential project is creating plugins or tooling to enable those guides. So this is something that could be very useful to automate or kind of accelerate some of these guide practices. So that's PR 116. Anybody have any thoughts or comments on that as a potential project we want to collaborate on?
So is it about just updating and maintaining the CBD guides, or
No,
helping automate the operation side of the maintainers?
it would be ideally presenting tooling that can help execute on a specific task. Francis.
Yeah. Just like Crow was saying, I think the idea here was develop some tools of sorts that could help maintainers raise their security bar and also use and adopt some of the sections of the CVD guides that we've been promoting. So that could be like automated mailing list creations or whatever that is. Like we don't actually have concrete ideas of what these would be.
Yeah, thank you, Francis.
Any thoughts or comments on that? All right. We don't need a decision today, and there's nothing to say that we couldn't potentially work on all three simultaneously. Just trying to gauge a level of interest. I will put out a note to our mailing list and request people to express interest in the PRs to see if we have any kind of level of synergy around the ideas. And then we will report back next time if we have some consensus on something we'd like to work on formally together. And does anyone have any other suggestions of potential ideas around vulnerability information and vulnerability disclosure that might be useful for the group to work on together as a project? Randall.
I have a question. Is FIRST part of the OpenSSF network?
No, not officially. Now, FIRST members are like Intel is and Red Hat is, but the FIRST organization, the PCERT SIG, is not officially a member of this foundation. They're welcome to contribute.
Just asking. Okay. Well, I know that they've come up a couple times in the last couple weeks, so.
So if
Just
we were
curious.
interested in trying to reach out to the PCERT SIG, that is something we could do and have some type of joint conversation if that was of interest.
I think
Now,
that in stream one, I think that would definitely be of interest for sure.
So those of you that aren't aware, FIRST is the form of incident response and security teams. That's essentially all of the vendor security teams around the globe. Not necessarily focused on open source, but they potentially almost all these vendors have components of open source within their products they're selling. And I know historically they are very interested in how the open source works.
I mean, I'll fire the first shots. I think their meetings are pretty boring. So if they want more enthusiastic people to join, they really should like raise the bar on that one because
Avishai.
Thanks. I'm just wondering if this fits more zero into the education working group, right? But indeed, what about developing some kind of hands-on lab / content, right, that people can exercise the CVD guide that we put together?
That's interesting. We do have a facility within the best practices working group called SKF, the Security Knowledge Framework. And that is essentially hands-on labs focused on secure development activities, but training around aspects of the CVD guide is something we probably could set up in that environment. But what are your thoughts about something like that, Randall? Is that something you think SKF could do?
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I forgot to unmute myself. Yeah, we could definitely do that because we have Hack OS that is a whole operating system Glenn invented for all of this type of use. So it's definitely something that can be done. In fact, if you go into SKF and you just type in Hack OS, you will get a container with like a bunch of hacking tools that is running on the SKF platform. You could do anything. You could even watch videos without audio, but yeah, and you could run a bunch of stuff there too. So it's technically possible.
So Abhishek, we'd have to kind of map out what we'd like the lab to
Yeah, I
achieve.
agree.
But it sounds like it's something that is an option for us if we're interested in getting that kind of hands-on practicum. Yotam.
Thanks. So I'm not sure if it's directly related to this to the group, but I'll suggest it anyway. So I was thinking maybe something with promoting some kind of standards with regards to vulnerabilities in cloud environments, because historically and from personal experience are trying to just now we found a couple of vulnerabilities and report the disclosure process with one of the cloud vendors. It's not pleasurable, and sometimes they don't even issue like CVs. They just fix it under the hood, and there's no documentation to what was wrong, for how long, what services were affected. At times, users have to take like active action in order to actually not be susceptible to the vulnerability, and all they do is basically send out an email. So and some people disregard it and remain vulnerable. So basically, it's not standardized. But I'm wondering how can we affect it, and if it's at all related to open source, like to the OpenSSF, because I'm not sure.
What are the group's thoughts on that? Is that something we falls within our mission and vision? Is it something we would be interested in kind of collaborating on, trying to help influence that behavior?
So my thoughts around that was that when I heard Francis's thoughts about the tooling, and was thinking to myself, how can we avoid making those like platform specific or tool specific? That maybe first, indeed, what we should think about is how to standardize those and how to create like an interface for that before we actually make a tool for a specific platform. So I think maybe that's kind of related in a way. Maybe as a first step.
Additional thoughts or comments from the group?
I think it's definitely a part of security. And I don't know about open source security, but I definitely think it's a part of security. So those are my thoughts. So I don't think it's a bad thing to spend time on. I know there's a lot of people that rely on the cloud being secure, and that's not really true.
It's just somebody else's computer.
Yeah.
Well, I can state with authority that several of the hyperscalers are members of the foundation, and that there's potential ability to engage with them if we had, I think, a reasoned proposal. I think we definitely could get them together and potentially have some type of dialogue if we felt that was an opportunity for us to work through. Any additional alternate suggestions of things you might like to think about working on? And again, I will get this set up in an email where we can point people to the PRs to review them, put in comments and their thoughts. And then I also will be sending out a note about the vote on meeting cadence and potential changes to how the call is run. Is there any other topics the group would like to talk about today, since our guest speaker has not arrived? All right, folks, I thank you for your time and attention and your suggestions today. Look forward to some emails from me, and please comment in our Git repo in the issues and PR so we can kind of gauge the direction we want to head. So thanks, everybody. I hope the carbonara was delicious.
It was very delicious.
All right, and I would also suggest, it's coming up on, we're in the middle of conference proposal season. So if this group was interested in going out and evangelizing our work, this is a good time to start to put together some CFPs we might want to co-present, or individuals go out and present. So if, for example, Jeff wanted to go present about the CVD guide, but he was unsure and and insecure about his ability, he might want some people to help him with his speech potentially, or help him with his proposal. So think about opportunities like that as well for people that are able to write those types of things and present them, or just are generally willing to help provide feedback.
I'm more than happy to actually go do some presenting somewhere with a talk. I know that SmootCon's open. Their CFP is open. CCC, Chaos Computer Club, they're open. That's the only two that I can think of off the top of my head currently. Yeah, I'm going to be international until November 2nd, but if anybody wants to, I need to read the CDD guide final form, but I'd be willing to potentially go chase that down a little bit more.
Okay. And we also
want to do that too.
Madison.
Say that one more time. I was typing.
Do you want to collaborate on that?
Yeah, I love doing this kind of stuff. I was just going to say I will be shamelessly plugging all of the work that we've been doing at GitHub Universe. So,
and I would like to try to get some non-standard conference, like the foundation is going to RSA and Black Hat, that type of nonsense. But I would like to try to get to conferences where maintainers and developers and actual users of our materials will be. So please think up those kind of non-standard places would be great.
Yeah, I can keep an eye out for that, because at the security lab at GitHub, there's a whole arm of us that specifically goes out to conferences and does the sort of evangelizing, specifically at developer focused conferences. So we have a long list of ones to keep an eye out for. So thankfully I have a lot of that information that I don't have to maintain myself.
Education Pro would love to see that list.
Yeah, me too. I'd love to see that list with any Java conferences. You could peg that over my way to Madison.
I'll see what I can do.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time today. Look forward to some emails from me, and please express your thoughts in our repository, the PRs and issues that are created. So thanks all. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.